Before I was a Christian, my struggles were just respecting people. I struggled with that a lot. Like, I didn't care what people thought. I didn't feel like there was a point to respect people if I didn't care about them. And I felt depressed a lot with a lot of things that had been going on in my life, and like there was no point to life. So it made it hard to just go out and enjoy a day.
He was angry, sad, didn't have a lot of friends, didn't hang out with a lot of people other than the basketball court. Basketball was his sanity, I think. That's where he sent all that energy.
Because when I first saw him, there was not very much confidence, not very much excitement even about life. There was a lot of even just, I don't think he'd mind me sharing this, like there was a lot of anger and stuff inside too. He's just trying to figure out some way to handle it, some way to get it out. And he wasn't really maybe handling it in the best of ways.
When he was a freshman, he was tough to coach. Several times where he didn't play up to his ability, his attitude wasn't where it is now as a senior, and that would, there was times where we had to have some hard talks, and especially with his attitude with officials in particular.
He would there was times when I would just be very much going down the wrong path. I would ask Coach if I could leave just because I'd be struggling too much with my own things, just because I've been being a bad student, or I would just cause myself so much problems because of all the wrong I was doing that I would have to leave practice, or I'd have to leave school, or I'd just skip school if I had to because I was so messed up in my mind. And he would bring me aside and just tell me he loved me and tell me that he'd ask me if I needed anything.
And a lot of times I just told him, I said, hey, you're a good player. Now you've just got to, let your attitude match your playing ability, because, it doesn't matter how good of a player you are. If your attitude is not what it needs to be, no one's going to respect you, or nobody's going to give you the attention that you deserve.
We have a family in our church, and they had been feeling like God had been telling them to pay for my church camp because it cost like $300 to go there. And they went up to my mom one day and said that they felt like God was telling them to pay for my camp because I wasn't going to go, and I wouldn't have been able to go because it was just too expensive for our family. And so my mom told me about that, and I still wasn't going to go. And I had reached a really unhealthy point in a relationship I was in, and it just drove me to a really low point in my life.
On our first year when we went to a camp, we go to a camp called Glorieta. It's in New Mexico. And when we were driving down there, he was given every single sign that he was disgusted with being there. He didn't want to be there, didn't want to be with this group. And I don't think he had anything against the group, he just didn't know them. And then when we got there, he still didn't want to be there.
I mean, at the beginning I hated it because I didn't know anybody there, and I thought they were a bunch of weird people. My third day was the day I accepted Christ. The worship we had that night was amazing, and I just really felt like the presence of God, it seemed like. And I was laying in bed that night, and I just prayed the prayer of salvation to accept Christ. And
as he just began getting to see maybe just something different, God was really working on his heart, and it was just like he was a totally different person from the start of that week to the end of that week. And I think God just kind of showed him that all that anger, all that direction, all that, everything he was looking for is actually found in God. And I don't know, that was a unique change to see.
And from that day to even now, he's different. I can't explain it. It's one of those things, it's like, it's not an herb, it's definitely not of this, or it's not of this world that kind of thing happens.
Just came back changed, and the Lord it's a testimony to a lot of prayers. He had a lot of struggles before that, and the Lord just changed his heart and changed his life. So
God taught me to be close with everybody, or to trust him with all my problems, and he'll come through.
Like, getting to have those conversations with them on the outside, like I'm the one hearing that, like, yeah, he's out shooting baskets at 3 a.m. No one really knows. All they see is like the 50-point game and things like that. But there's a lot of time that goes into it. And
Person game is definitely one of those. I mean, he was a very. I knew he was a very good player, but when you score 50 points, and it doesn't matter who you score 50 points against, but especially when you score 50 points against a team as good as McPherson, that was definitely a surprise.
It feels good. It's been really cool to break a record that's been up there since before I was even born and stuff. So it's cool to just be a part of the history of Circle and set a record that I think will stay for a while.
You know, because you spend all these years telling a little boy, you know, you might not go to the NBA and you might not be in college because you wanted to always have a backup plan. But it was funny because Jude's like, I don't need a plan B. I don't need a plan B. I don't need a plan B. Mm-hmm. So now it's kind of like, ha ha ha, I told you.
I always knew, the way I knew kind of changed. My younger years, I always thought I was just going to be the greatest player of all time. So, I mean, I figured it'd come easy. And then as I got older and kind of humbled, I realized, like, holy crap, there's a lot of good players out there. It was more of I know I'm willing to work hard enough to get to some level of college basketball.
I think for me, the most recent proudest moment is just the decision that he made for college, trying to weigh all of the things out, because there was a lot to weigh out, more than I even knew.
I went about it with a lot of communications. I had a lot of people helping me that have had college experience, and even more so college basketball experience, and prayer. I mean, I prayed all the time about this because it's such a big decision, and I wanted to make it the right one. When I prayed, there's been things I prayed for, like I want to be a place where I'm financially stable, and I want to be a place where I can still reach out to people that I know and be there for them, and be there in a strong way, not just be able to text them or something. So those were things I prayed for, and I really wanted to be a part of my church I'm in now. I finally reached a point where I really felt like Butler was the best place, and that's where I felt the most peace. And so I just felt like that was where God was leading me in.
Well, it was a fun 4 years here, and I'm looking forward to playing there for the next 2 years, and thanks to everybody that came out.
Got him. Jude's a competitor. He's ultra competitive and plays with this chip on his shoulder, and that's kind of one of the big things we look for is what they have internally. I think he's a really tough young man, and obviously he's got a good character, so those are the things that we saw inside that we really liked.
I just wish him the best of luck, and hope that he does well and continues to excel in basketball, as well as a person and a student in the classroom.
I think the advice that I would give Jude is to remember who got him there. Because in this transition we've been seeing, like these past few years, we've been seeing a huge success in Jude's basketball, but also a huge success in his walk with God. And I feel like God has been really blessing him in that area and opening some doors with that. And so as Jude just continues to move forward, I really hope that he just remembers those times when he's on the court and he's like, God, just please help me. Or beforehand when he's reading his Bible to go into there, it's like, remember that while he has the talent and he has the ability and God has been really shaping him that way, remember that it's been God that's been giving him those talents and things. And so if he keeps leaning on God with this, it's going to be very exciting to see where God takes him with basketball too. Well, hey Jude, just want you to know I love you, but Jesus loves you more.
Sometimes I think that Jude can be his own worst enemy, but when he remembers who he serves, he is awesome.